order. I'm going to ask you all to stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Lisa, would you please read the opening statement and call the roll?
Yes. This is to advise the general public and to instruct that it be reported in the minutes that in compliance with the Center for Environment and Air Open Public Meetings Act, the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority, the Senate's annual meeting schedule for August 2018 through July 2019, setting forth the time, date, and location of this meeting to the Secretary of State's office in Trenton, New Jersey, and the office of the clerk of Atlantic City. The notice was published in the press of Atlantic City, the Camden Courier Post, and the New York Star Ledger on July 23rd, 2013, and July 24th, 2013. Members of the press will be permitted to take photographs at today's meeting, providing that it is done in a manner which is not distracting to the audience, nor interferes with the public's right to observe the meeting. Any member of the public who wishes to address the authority regarding items to be presented to the board will be given the opportunity to do so. Comments regarding any issues that do not appear on today's agenda will be taken during the public comment portion at the end of the meeting. We ask that members of the public who address the board stand and state their name and address for the record each time they speak on an issue. It is also requested that comments be limited to 3 minutes per issue. Sophia Butler.
Present.
Deborah DiLorenzo.
Present.
Nick Gann.
Here.
Mark D'Antonio. Mayor Frank Gilliam.
Present.
Michael Hanley.
Here.
Gary Hill.
Here.
Howard Kyle.
Here.
William Mullen.
Here.
Kevin Ortman.
Here.
James Closett.
Here.
Dave Rebuck for the State Attorney General.
Here.
Maureen Hassett for the State Treasurer.
Here.
Robert Long for the DCA Commission.
Good afternoon.
Frank Spencer. Richard Tolson.
Here.
Chairman Robert Mulcahy.
Present. So on the phone, Kevin, are you the only one on the phone?
Seems that way.
My knowledge.
But you're on.
The only one on his phone.
Okay. Before we get into the actual meeting, a couple of things. One is, it's the time of the year when we all look forward to the holidays and some peace and happiness, hopefully. On behalf of all of us here at the CRDA, we wish all of the visitors who are here today the very best for the holiday season, and that you enjoy the blessings that all of us need in this world today. So thank you for being interested and for coming, and may this be a good ending of this year for all of us, and that the new year be one of additional blessings. So thank you all very much for your past attendance and for your suggestions and so on. We thank you all. The second thing is, I'll do this. Before we get into the actual business, we have a certificate of recognition today for one of our employees. And on November 9th in 2018 at approximately 8:15 a.m., Meet AC and Crda employees began arriving at Boardwalk Hall offices. One of the employees noticed that the drawer to her desk was left open, which she found odd. Spectra Venue Management employee Anthony Tony Holston was also on duty and happened upon a strange man in one of the offices who appeared to be gathering several items.
Has joined the conference.
He called out to the man that he did not have permission to be in the building and needed to leave immediately. He also alerted building security on his radio. Tony was able to apprehend the man and remove items from the person, including a laptop, a tablet, an employee's jacket, phone chargers, and other items before he ran off. So on behalf of the CRDA, Meet AC and Spectra Venue Management, Anthony is being commended for a job well done for acting swiftly to alert security and for further assisting above and beyond the duties of his position. Anthony, where are you?
Tony.
Come on up here. On behalf of the authority, we'd like to present you with this certificate in recognition of what you did, to thank you publicly for what you did, and appreciate your service. Thank you, my friend. So, who's on the phone right now, besides Kevin? Anybody?
He got knocked off and came back.
He's back.
He what?
He's off now.
Oh, he's back, okay.
We tried to hang up on him.
He tried to hang up on his okay. Next item on the agenda is ratification of the minutes of the November 28th board meeting. I assume you've all read them. Does anybody have any corrections? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve them?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Next item on the agenda is acceptance of the treasurer's report. Motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is the executive director's report. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One thing I want to report on is the CRDA and its employees were part of Operation Warm here in Atlantic City, donating a total of $1,360 to provide coats to the school children attending Atlantic City's Texas Avenue School. Several CRDA employees were also on hand on Friday, December 14th, to help distribute the coats to the children. Also at Boardwalk Hall, the Christmas dinner preparations begin on December 19th. We're expected to feed 2,500 people again. Also, the Harlem Globetrotters are coming to Boardwalk Hall on March 7th. Also, and we had a very successful Realtors Convention and Trade Expo the beginning of this month, December 3rd to the 6th at the Convention Center. That's all from me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Matt. First item on the agenda today is under the title of Land Use Regulation and Enforcement. And the first thing is the BAHAA Fairmount and Georgia Avenue Condition Use and Site Plan Approval with variances. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting variance relief for the expansion of an existing auto repair and storage use and ancillary site improvements on the property located at 2409 Fairmount Avenue in the city of Atlantic City, New Jersey, block 388, lots 5 through 8, under application 2018-10-2513.
Thank you. Any recusals? Matt, you want to describe the action?
Yes, sir. The conditional use and site plan approval with variances. The hearing officer heard this on November 1st of 2018. Hearing officer has recommended the variance be granted for the following reasons. Applicants presented testimony the application would advance the purposes of the municipal land use law. Also, the evidence and testimony demonstrated that the grant of the requested variances will not create any detriment to the public good.
This is a variance for the expansion of an existing automotive repair and storage facility at the intersection of Georgia and Fairmount Avenues, correct?
Yes, sir.
Board discussion. Public discussion. Seeing none, I'll accept the motion to approve the variance.
Moved.
Been moved by Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Rob. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so ordered. Next item on the agenda relates to 133 South Tennessee Avenue, LLC. It's an approval of variances. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting preliminary and final site plan approval and variance relief for modification to a previously approved site plan on the property located at 133 South Tennessee Avenue in the city of Atlantic City, New Jersey, block 54, lots 13 to 14, under application 2018-09-2510.
Anybody need to be recused? Board, this description, Matt?
This is at the new beer hall on Tennessee Avenue. They're looking for variances for the structure, fence height. This was heard on November 1st, 2018. Hearing officer has recommended that the preliminary and final site plan with variances be granted for the following reasons. Applicant presented testimony of the application would advance the purposes of the municipal land use law by promoting desirable visual environment. Also, the evidence and testimony demonstrated that the grant of the requested variance will not create any detriment to the public good.
And this actually will permit them to cover an outdoor bar area along with fencing. Board discussion.
Just one comment, Mr.
Rich.
Chairman, if I could. I mean, this is in keeping, I think, with what we've talked about with Tennessee Avenue before. And it is my understanding that there are no objections from anyone in the neighborhood to the variance, correct?
That's correct.
I think that's worth noting.
Other comments from board members? Comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the variance.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is really an important project for this agency. It's the Sense at Liberty Apartment Rehabilitation Project. They're asking for a preliminary determination of project eligibility. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority granting preliminary determination of project eligibility for the Sunset Liberty Apartment Project.
Does anybody need to be recused? Matt, you want to describe the project?
This is a wind development, is proposing a rehabilitation of 3 multifamily apartment buildings containing 153 units. The first one is the Liberty Apartments at 1519 Baltic Avenue, that's 67 units. Disson Apartments, 1711 Arctic Avenue, 20 units. And Schoolhouse Apartments, which is at 61 North Martin Luther King Boulevard, 66 units total. The properties are determined to be historical based on their place in the African American history here in Atlantic City as well. The project addresses concerns that were brought up in the Johnson report. Neighborhood blight, public safety, quality of life improvements. All the properties are converted to apartments 40 years ago and suffered from neglect and poor maintenance since. The total budget for this project is a little over $37 million. It's $36,818,000, and the CRDA loan request from Wind Development is for $4.45 million.
This is for a determination, a preliminary determination of project eligibility. Obviously, we'll come back here for further approval. Board discussion.
One question, is that coming from the housing fund? You see any housing fund?
Good question. Yes. Yes.
Other board
We
questions?
get first position with our loan?
I'm sorry, what?
First position with our loan?
No, we're not in first position.
Okay.
HMFA is in first position. There's some private equity, and we're gonna have to negotiate where we stand. Other questions?
Is it 100% affordable?
100% affordable.
These are funds that are statutorily dedicated for housing. For that.
No, this is a great project, and I think one that's needed and will really improve and help the residents in the area. They will not be displaced, assuming they meet the requirements of Section 8 housing. And I want to thank the WIN people who made the presentation. They're here. They're a national organization, and they do these projects over the whole country. And I think it's a very big step in the heart of the city. So with that, there's no board discussion. Is there any public discussion? Councilman.
Mr. Chairman, board members, let me first of all say season's greetings to everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year. This project, I happen to be the representative of the district that the project is in, and I would urge you to support the project. I did some homework on wind development, and I understand that they have done this kind of work all over the country. I talked to my colleague in Bridgeton, and he's very pleased, and the people in the Bridgeton community are pleased with what they did. As the chairman said, the people will remain in the units while they develop them, and it's going to be affordable, Commissioner Butler. And I would encourage you, these 3 projects have had so many violations of code and health, and this would be a boon to the whole neighborhood, the surrounding area, the religious facilities. The pastors are in support of it, and I'm authorized to say that to you, to this board, and it would be a tremendous, tremendous development in the heart of the city, and more than that, to help these families have a safe, clean, decent housing experience.
We appreciate your remarks and thank you for the support. This gets to probably the heart of part of our mission here in the city, in the tourism district, and what we're supposed to do. And the good thing about this is WIN will manage the project on a continuing basis after the units are improved. And that adds to the stability in terms of both the sensitivity to the residents and to the continued upkeep and maintenance of the homes. So we're very pleased about that. Other comments from the public? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the preliminary?
Second.
Been moved by Gary, seconded by the mayor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're very welcome, Councilman. The next item on the agenda is Atlantic City Events and Promotion. Authorization to negotiate and execute a public-private partnership booking and promotion agreement in an amount not to exceed $700,000 with In-Game Exports Incorporated for events at Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall, the Atlantic City Convention Center. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving a fund reservation in an amount not to exceed $700,000 and the negotiation and execution of a non-exclusive public-private partnership agreement with In-Game Esports Incorporated for esports and gaming entertainment events at Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall and the Atlantic City Convention Center.
This is probably the kind of event that my grandkids or millennials would understand and deal with a lot better than I would. But Matt, would you go through the description of this, please?
Yes, sir. The authority has been in discussions with In-Game Esports to bring esports events to the Boardwalk Hall and Convention Center as part of the authority's effort to promote tourism and entertainment. In-Game is an Atlantic City-based company, and it's an initial 18-month commitment with funds not to exceed $700,000 for a schedule of events to be presented by In-Game as requested, and the authority will have the ability to approve or not approve those events. But as the chairman alluded to, this is may sound odd to many of us, but there are thousands of people who will sit around and watch people play video games.
And apparently this is a big deal in the colleges, and
Not only do colleges compete against each other, you can now get scholarship. So it pays to play video games.
Actually, the military is using these
yeah.
to train pilots and drone operators and everything as well.
Board's discussion.
Couple things.
Rich.
I had reading through it, a minimum of one, but that doesn't insinuate that if they only do one, they're getting $700,000.
Yeah.
All right, just to be clear. And the $700,000 is specifically for marketing their entity at Boardwalk Hall.
Right, and again, one event could be $100,000, another event could be $200,000,
Right, but it's
$150,000. It all depends
just to
on-
market their initiatives at Boardwalk Hall, nothing else.
Eddie.
What, it said it has to come back for board approval. Will we have board approval again on these, or just notification? And how the money is spent? I'd like a follow-up on how the money is spent, because I'm curious how this is gonna work out along the way.
The events are approved by the authority, not by the board itself, but by the executive.
Okay, could I ask for notification?
Absolutely.
As the board, as these events are, because this is all new for us, so I'd like to be kept up to date on how it is and what it is, and maybe I can figure out how to get a video game.
You know what, we'll appoint you as our emissary to go and observe the first one.
I'm gonna bring my little controller too.
And report back to us how it goes.
I'm sure Mr. Grant will be a ringer on Fortnite.
But you
But
know,
no,
you
but
know
I think
what
it's a good
I'm
point.
looking for, Mr. Chairman, correct?
Yes.
It's an odd thing that you know, this may be the future of spectator sports. I don't understand it, but if that's where the business is going, that's where we should go as well.
Well, when you look at statistically, there are communities that are actually building stadiums
Yes.
for this particular aspect. And if you look at the statistics, you also find that these actually get more participants than the Super Bowl. So there's a large push with this. There also something that we didn't mention. These folks are also considered professionals. So you actually get paid as a professional athlete just for pressing buttons. But at the end of the day, this is something.
Pretend you're an athlete.
Yeah, it should be. But I think that this is something that actually, in my opinion, puts Atlantic City on the drinking edge of something different and new. And it's also something that's already basically been quantified in terms of how many dollars is being spent. Vegas has 3 different stadiums alone. Washington, D.C. is in the process of building one. And then you also have the fact that gaming is not going anywhere anytime soon, so I think this is a good amenity for the city of Atlantic City.
And I would also add to that, you know, the folks that come to these also recruit. So some of the people that come to recruit from this are places like Microsoft, Dell, Facebook, a lot of the IT monsters out there. So it also brings other folks into town as well. So the nice thing about this is it probably is going to bring people to Atlantic City who may have no other draw to come here except something like esports.
It's going to be an interesting experiment. Other comments from board members?
Just like to say that Caesars seems to be the funding source behind this indirectly. They have taken the lead already in having esports performances. I think that's the best way to put it right now. Already at their properties on a much smaller scale. Obviously, they don't have a facility size of Boardwalk Hall to host the larger events. The mayor is absolutely right. In the gaming industry, there's been a movement, certainly in Nevada, to monetize this, and because it is a sporting event, believe it or not, it is now authorized as a gambling event on sports in New Jersey because of our victory. And so what is this company's name again? In-Game should understand that if they want to have gambling on the performance of the athletes who are competing in video games, you need to come to Mr. Jim Pelosius and myself to get registered quickly, because otherwise it'll just be a concert-type performance where you watch. And if you've ever been to these events, it is essentially a concert-like performance by the athletes and the music and the sound and light shows that goes on. But there's no gambling on it in New Jersey yet, legally.
You two guys may be the commissioners.
So,
you should
it's a
get
good
paid
thing.
like
I'm
Goodell.
glad to see it's a local group that's taking interest to be promoted in this area, and I wish them the best. But they're going to expand beyond just being a concert-like promoter. They need to get their act together quickly, guys, and get them into us, or they're not going to have any gambling on this until we approve it. Okay.
Other comments from board members? Public comment?
Steve Young, I think this is a good time for this. For those who don't know, my son was world champion in the Wii Smash 2. In this game, world champion. That means he beat everyone in the world. He was on ESPN and recognized in Forbes magazine under 30. That's something you don't hear too much about in Atlantic City, but that was my son, #1, worldwide. So this is a good thing. He always wanted this to come to Atlantic City, and glad to see us here.
That's great. Congratulations. Other public comments? Hearing none, I'll set the motion to approve the expenditure.
Move it.
Been moved by the mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is the South Inlet Entertainment Retail District Project. It's an approval of an amendment to the South Inlet Entertainment Retail District Project, continuing the project to include the Ocean Resort Casino component and other related obligations in the negotiation and execution of agreements with the Ocean Resort. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority amending the authority-sponsored South Inlet Entertainment Retail District Project, approved in accordance with Resolution 0787, adopted November 20th, 2007, and authorizing the negotiation and execution of a district project grant agreement and other agreements with Ocean Resort Casino LLC in accordance with the Urban Revitalization Act, PL 2001, Chapter 221.
Anybody need to be recused? This is something that the statute has given the CRDA the right to create certain entertainment retail districts in the state. We had one with the old Rebel. When they went bankrupt and closed down, obviously they stopped paying. Thanks to Matt and our lawyers, they have met with Ocean. They've revived the entertainment retail district so that what happens is the first $2.5 million of $5 million that they get in receipts comes to the CRDA, and for the remainder 17 years, I think it was on the 20-year commitment. So this is something that we've worked hard to get done. There's some legalese that relates to this. I don't know, Matt, if there's anything else you want to explain, but it's a positive that for a year we've been working to try and get back in a position where we got some revenue from the project. So that's a positive for us. Okay, board discussion.
Not a discussion, but more of a point. I mean, if in our transmission today, if we can request the effective date as being the opening date of the Ocean, June 30th, 2018, I think that would send a message that we support that. But obviously, if that's not acceptable, because we just took a final action today, or 10 days from now, if the governor approves it, the effective date may now be sometime in December. So I just would like to say I would suggest it's an intent of the board, if possible, to allow for the negotiated agreement to take effect on June 30th, 2018, which is essentially the day that Ocean
Paul?
opening.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and Reebok, we are in discussions with taxation on just that very issue.
Good.
And hopefully those discussions will be fruitful to potentially make the effective date of this revitalized ERD to be the date of opening.
Thank you.
Other comments from board members? Any comments from the public? Yes, sir.
I'm not a stupid man, but I'm having trouble following. 2007, it's put on a 2007 resolution. Is this money in from Ocean, or is this money that's going to Ocean?
Coming from Ocean to us.
This is the tax money for the SID?
No.
Is this the tax, is this money going to, because many times in front of this board, I have asked about that property on Oriental. Nick, you were there when we cleared the land from Beachgate. I've been promised names of owners, I've been promised times that it would get cleaned, and I've yet to have any information. My question is, will this take care and police the area around Ocean?
This has nothing to do with that. This is taking an old entertainment retail district that was with Revel and extending it to Ocean Resort. And what it does is it helps recoup, or it recoups the first $5 million in sales tax that are paid to the state of New Jersey.
So they go to Atlantic City or to the CRDA?
The first 50% of that, first $2.5 million, comes back to CRDA and goes to the general fund to be used for discretionary items. The other 2.5 goes to Ocean Resort for them to use as they.
I understand
fit
fully,
for their
thank you.
model.
My question remains then, what's going on with the land around Ocean?
That's not part of this resolution.
No, it's
Fair enough, but it's an unanswered question for many months in front of this board.
Other public comment? Motion to.
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Gant, is there a second? Seconded by Mo. Is there, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Approved? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is the 2019 SID Division Budget, adoption of the budget. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority adopting the operating budget for the CRDA Special Improvement District for the period January 1 through December 31, 2019.
Anybody need to be recused? Howard, do you want to comment on this?
So we had the public hearing on the SID budget. We had vetted it very carefully in committee. Budget for $7.2 million. It seems adequate according to Rick Santillo to meet the needs of the SID, and we think it's going to be appropriate. We recommend passage.
I also want to comment that the SID assessment rate of 3.00038 is $38 for every 100,000 assessed value, remains the same as it was in 2010. We have not asked anybody to come up with additional money since that time because of the recession that went on in 2008 and the problems that Atlantic City has had since then. Board discussion. Rich.
Couple of small items. On page 2, number 8 of the footnotes, continuing education and training, and Rick, I'm sure you're gonna, who provides this?
We do it both. We have in-house, we have our insurance carrier gives us, our insurance carrier comes in, provides safety and OSHA training to us, and we bring in local instructors, and we know we have an open offer for trades to give us some expertise that we'd like to avail ourselves of.
Thank you. The only other one under outside contracted service, and these are small line items, it's not a
That's fine.
financial question. Admin software maintenance, I know we went through a huge software IT changeover
Changes.
here and upgrades with, is all this integrated, is Sid integrated with us, with CRDA?
We are, but this is a standalone piece of software that we're able to extrapolate the assessment data off the city tax rolls. It's a piece of software that you have to have. Every municipality uses it in New Jersey, and we have to patch into that to get an accurate assessment number. Otherwise, we'd have a lot of banter.
And it's used specifically for that?
Only for that purpose.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from board members? Comments from the public? Seeing none, motion to accept the budget. Moved by Mr. Gann, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is Atlantic City Tourism District Ambassador Program. Authorization to extend the current contract with ABM Janitorial Service Mid-Atlantic LLC for an additional one-year period. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority extending for an additional one-year term the services contract with American Building Maintenance Incorporated to provide ambassador services in the Atlantic City Tourism District through December 31st, 2019.
Anybody need to be recused? Matt, do you want to talk about this?
Oh, yeah, this is the ambassador program, works very well under the direction of Sid and Rick Santoro. This is just a one-year extension on what's in place now. I'd like to give it another year and then see if there's any modifications that we should make to it, but it seems to work well the way it exists today, Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Question. The 8.5% management fee, is that on, assuming that their actual cost to us and that's their operating profit for what they do?
Yes.
And I understand that we have 19 ambassadors in our, in the program?
Yes, sir.
And I'm having a hard time getting 19 into $1 million and coming up with the numbers. Could we have some sort of a review just to double check this? Because I understand we're supposed to be paying some health care, some pension. I happened to ask this young man out in the parking lot who's part-time and get, so before we jump in, because I've always kind of thought, and maybe I'm wrong, we could do better having them be our employees. And I know that's got a lot that goes with it, but could we just take a look here to sort of verify that what they're saying, or maybe define what labor costs are?
Well, I wouldn't disagree with you on whether or not they should be our employees, but this gives us a year to figure that out, to be honest with you. So, as the executive director, I'd ask you to give me a year and let's see if, maybe that's the better avenue, to be honest with you. But Rick, you want to try to explain?
There's a list of things in addition to the labor. It's uniforms, their insurance. They have 6 part-time employees that don't get benefits. All the rest get full-time benefits. Their uniforms, their training, their workers' comp coverage, their outside legal counsel for labor relations, and their cost of human resources is all factored into that. So
All stuff that we have here. I'm just saying, I'm not sure that we're getting, if at the end of the day, we find out that we could bring the ambassadors in for $700,000, I'm just picking a number, then I think it's something that we're obligated to take a look at. So I just ask us to take a look before the year contract is up and make a determination, because I've talked to more than one ambassador, and I don't think they're getting what we think they're getting.
Well, the other thing too is that the number of ambassadors has decreased as we've increased the Class 2 officers.
Got it.
So
Got
that
it.
it's a different issue than it was, say, 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, if we have, I'd like to see the breakdown of what the
Absolutely.
$1 million is actually representing, because I've considered, Rick, your point of the uniforms and the workman's comp, and it's just hard for me to still get to $1 million.
Okay.
So could we just take a look, please? Thank you.
But I think you make a very good point as far as whether or not it'd be more efficient to bring them in-house.
Well, again, I understand the other side of that. And if it's just marginally close, then we let it go out to the subcontractor, and I'm fine with that. But just for some reason, I don't think it's gonna be, I think we could do better. That's all I'm saying. Thank you. Thank you.
Other comments from board members? Comments from the public? Motion to approve the extension.
Moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. The next item on the agenda is authorization to amend Resolution 1838 to add to the source of funds available under the 2018 Miss America project. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving an amendment to Resolution 1838 adopted April 17, 2018, to reallocate the source of funds expended for the 2018 Miss America Pageant project.
Anybody need to be recused? I want to make two things very clear about some misunderstandings on this. First of all, this relates to the money that we pay out in 18 for the Miss America pageant that happened this past September, but it's called 2019 by the Miss America pageant. The audit committee has determined that rather than take the money out of the general fund, we have money in the luxury tax fund that would cover it and free up general fund money. This is simply an administrative transfer. It has nothing to do with anything in terms of Miss America, other than this is an administrative transfer of the bills that we paid this past year. I also might add that there was a RFP out for proposals that they've asked. This agency has not responded to it. So I want to make this very clear about the Miss America. There was some misunderstanding that we were funding it for next year. That's not true. And no decisions have been made about what we're doing in the future. At this point, there's nothing before us to make a decision for. So I wanted to make that very clear to everybody here. Any questions from board members?
We appreciate the clarity, because the media had a different spin on it.
There's no question. That's one of the reasons that I sought to clarify it the way I did.
Is it so accurate to say that the money's already been paid? And
I'm
this is
sorry,
just
Rob?
that the money's already been paid, this is simply an accounting transaction,
It's
right?
simply an accounting transaction as to where we take it, where the money's accounted for. Other comments from board members? Comments from the public?
I have one comment, Jeff Rosenberg, I have one comment or one question. By moving the money, does that lessen the money in the community development grant department? Because you're
It
giving
doesn't what?
700,000, is the
No, it
seven?
improves it.
But it moves it to the boardwalk fund account, where you've just approved $700,000, is that the same account?
No, no.
Okay.
This simply, the luxury tax revenues this year were greater than anticipated.
It's currently in the general fund, which is also part of the community
That's
development
correct.
fund, correct? Can that be used for community development?
Once we transfer it, it'll open up the money.
It's being
Originally had been
transferred
taken out,
just for
originally had
Miss
been
America.
taken out of the general fund. We're not taking it out of the general fund. We're taking out of the excess luxury tax revenues that
Thank you.
came this year. It's that simple.
And I'm gonna blame some of that misconception on what the press had this morning.
What's
what I
that?
was reading.
I think I clarified that.
I understood it better after my question.
Right. Other comments from the public? Hearing none, a motion to approve the transfer.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Next item on the agenda is the flyer skate zone. Approval to amend the sublease agreement. Lisa, would you please read the resolution?
Resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving an amendment to the ice rink sublease agreement with FCS Rink LP dated April 14, 1999, to modify the terms and conditions pertaining to the sublease extension period.
Anybody need to be recused? Matt?
Yeah, the subtenant covers all the operating costs of the facility. The base term of the sublease is scheduled to expire this coming April 14th of 2019. The Flyer Skate Zone has met with me, discussed the needed capital improvements to the facility, and in lieu of any decision of such an improvement, the Flyer Skate Zone wants to amend the sublease to provide greater flexibility for the parties to consider whether to invest funds for such improvements. At this point, I don't think it's worthwhile for CRDA to put money into capital improvements for the building. It doesn't generate any revenue for us. I don't see how we get our money back on it. But the building is in need of capital improvements, which, if the Flyer Skate Zone would like to make those improvements, we'd be supportive of that. An amendment to the sublease to permit 5 one-year extensions and an additional one-time 5-year extension. So it's a total of 10 years, 5 ones and 1 5.
That's at our option?
Yeah.
Would you just explain what the Flyer Skate Zone is so people on the board that are new can understand it?
So it's on Bader Field. I believe that they make a payment to the city. Make any payment to the city, Mayor? Maybe not. But they cover the cost of being there. If they weren't there, then CRDA would have to take up the expense of the heat, electric, all the utilities. The Flyers use it as a practice facility. In theory, there could be other community groups that use it for ice skating. It doesn't seem to be used all that often, to be very honest with you. And at some point, the city is going to have a developer for Bader Field, and this property may be included in that development one way or the other. So it gives us flexibility, it gives the Flyers flexibility as to whether or not they want to stay there. If they put a brand new roof on and they invest in it, it should come back to this board for consideration if they're going to do that and put money into it, that they would have a longer term lease. But they're only going to do that if it makes economic sense for them. So instead of us taking on the capital improvement burden, it allows us the flexibility of doing something with this facility in the future.
And I just want to make note that if there were to be any capital improvement towards that entity, let it be utilizable for something that the community actually occupies. Hockey is not a sport in which this particular urban area is a fond fan of, but if we're looking to put money in from CRDA, let's at least look at it as basically being utilizable for something that this community would basically be a benefactor of.
Makes sense, Mayor.
Did we build that building, the CRDA, or the city?
So Paul can explain this. It's a little bit convoluted.
Well, the improvements for the ice rink were built by a developer. It was a public-private partnership back in the late 90s that built the facility. The authority provided funds towards soft costs, engineering, architectural development type costs prior to construction. But they've incurred all the costs to build the structure and to operate it and maintain it. It's obviously an old structure, been around for a while. And as Matt indicated, they're looking for flexibility given the condition of the building. They'd like to stay, but they don't want to be locked into a 5-year term. The original sublease required 2 5-year terms. So they wanted flexibility and the ability to come back to the authority, and if they had an idea about making CapEx, to discuss that idea with us, and if the board was amenable to support it or not support it.
To clarify, we actually own the building, correct?
We do, well, the city actually owns the building.
Okay.
The city owns the building, the city owns the land, so if this lease ends, if the sublease ends, our lease by default ends with the city would be a proud owner of an ice rink.
Okay. And by extending the lease, they're picking up all the cost of running it day to day, so there's really
That's
no
exactly
downside
right.
for
There's no
anybody
downside.
to give them the option of doing this.
If there was,
Got it.
if there
I
was,
got it.
if there was a better opportunity now for
Right.
CRDA, it would be a different conversation. But it's better to have someone there than not.
100%.
And adjacent to this is the baseball
No,
park,
100%.
which has been vacant for a while.
People using it.
And people have approached us about capital improvements at the baseball park, but again, it doesn't seem to make a lot of business sense for CRDA to do that.
I got it.
So,
Thank you.
So it just continues the status quo.
Okay, other comments from board members? Comments from the public? Yes.
Dan Donahoe from Galloway, New Jersey. Just by chance, I came to this meeting. Stockton, we play ice hockey. I'm on the ice hockey team. We just started playing again at the Flyer Skate Zone, and we've tremendously improved our team because people didn't want to commute to Toms River, the next closest ice rink. So we're a better hockey team because we're in Atlantic City. A lot of the kids on my team, they live in the new dorms, so their commute from an hour and some minutes to 2 minutes. So they're more willing to make every practice. We also have the Art Dorrington Foundation at the rink, and they have been struggling since Art passed. And they could maybe, like, I don't know if this is the right place to say it, but they might use some funds to really, like, make a nice room for them, or some sort of, like, museum about art to really encourage more community involvement. Because it's hard to get some kids to come after school to play hockey when they want to play basketball in the warm weather. They want to play football or soccer with their friends, when not every one of their friends is interested in playing ice hockey. So I think the ice rink's a vital, like, it's a small community, but it's a very strong community, and I saw it on the paper, so I Snapchatted all my friends, and they got really scared. They're like, "Is the skate zone dying?" I was like, "I don't know. Like, I hope not." So I hope it stays. It's really, we have too much. We don't have enough ice for how many people we have. Like, we don't make enough money because we don't have enough ice, and it's hard to build more ice, like another rink. But we're jam packed. Stockton, we practice at 10:30 at night. Like, we have 8:30 classes the next day. Who wants to do that? But we do it because we love it. So.
Make sure you keep going to class, too.
Oh, yeah. I haven't missed any class.
And by the way, if all of a sudden there's a partnership with Stockton that breathes more life into that building, I think that's a really positive thing.
We want a locker room, like a real program. Like, we use one of the general locker rooms. It's not painted our colors. We can't fit 26 grown men in it. Like, we want a nice locker room to be a facility and give people tours. And because we're becoming a powerhouse in our division, we want to bring people in and play hockey. Even though we can't give scholarships, we want to show, like, we're in Atlantic City, great environment for learning, great facility to play hockey. They go hand in hand. Who doesn't want to go to school in Atlantic City?
I'll make the motion.
We gotta hire him. Honest to God, and I.
You hear that, Lance?
In all due respect, I think it gets more my sense was it gets more utilization than was insinuated earlier, and I think he substantiates that they're practicing at 10:30 at night. They're not leaving it empty all day to get there at 10:30 at night. So usage is there. I think, to me, this is a no-brainer. And coupled with the Stockton association with it, it can just get better.
Interestingly, in a conversation I had this morning with the president of Stockton and some of their board members about their expansion, they've hired one of the best crew coaches in the country, and they are going to have the best Division III crew teams, men and women, in the country, they believe, and they'll be doing it right on the Intercoastal.
So it's been growing crew on there for my entire life. Holy Spirit's gone to Henley a number of times, practicing on that intercoastal.
So there's a lot of things going on that get highlighted here. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Chairman, to your point, he was my crew coach in college. So I rode at Marietta. I rode at Spirit here, and then I rode at Marietta. And we had 2,800 kids at our college, and we were top 25 in the country because men's crew doesn't have divisions.
Right.
So we were competing against Purdue and Dartmouth and Michigan, and I'm now on the advisory committee with Stockton for the rowing program, but to your point, watch what he does with the program.
No, and what it does do, there's a tremendous number of participants. You probably have 90 in both each men and 90 in the women's program.
Yeah.
And so it's a tremendous participation sport.
Yeah, very excited to potentially make Stockton a powerhouse in the rowing community. It's a
Yeah, I
huge
probably
opportunity.
shouldn't have made the announcement, but he told me that, and I
Yeah, he's
figured
fine.
I may as well say it so
Thank
that
you.
everybody.
And there's a synergy there because the Intercoastal is a stone's throw to the skate zone, which is right next door to a baseball stadium that Stockton may also be able to utilize in the future, so just throw that out as a natural progression of Stockton.
A lot of
takes
synergy that could be here.
Yeah, athletics.
Other comments from board, Dave?
Not a comment, but just for staff to follow up on until this young man explained to me that Stockton had an intercollegiate team, not club, but intercollegiate.
No, it's a club team.
But it's club now. Okay, so they don't have intercollegiate yet. But my point is that I think it would be very, very helpful for us when you're dealing with the flyers to understand what public agencies that it has leased the facility with to use the facility at what times of the year. Because I really don't know how it's being used until I heard they're using it. I thought it was just for the general public, but I would imagine there's some other colleges or possibly some high schools that have teams that are sponsored by them that have the need for practice and game facility, and short of that in South Jersey, I guess you said the closest one's in Tom's River?
Tom's River, Voorhees, an hour away.
Far away. Maybe you can go to Philadelphia.
Voorhees.
Voorhees, yes, Voorhees, that's one. But there's not too many in below that 195 corridor of South Jersey. So might be helpful to know, at least from who they're leasing to, so we have a better sense of the board. But I support the proposal as it's really giving them more time to get their act together.
Other comments from the public? Yes, sir.
I just, when he spoke about Art Dorrington, my son was part of that program for 3 years. It's a great program for the youth in the city. And also, that's a great idea for a museum there. There's an arcade that used to be there that's kind of defunct now. There's even space to do something like that for art. And maybe to raise some money for their foundation to continue doing what they do. Also, my son and his friends now, after learning how to skate and doing all that, they frequent there on Fridays and Saturday nights. It's a great facility for the community to have. I mean, there's no skating rink or anything like that here. So it's a great facility for the community.
I just don't know who uses it.
Sir, could you please identify yourself so we have it in the record?
Sure. Daryl Boltites. I'm an Atlantic City resident.
Other comments from the public? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the lease extension?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Gant, seconded by Mr. Tolson. Any further comment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Next we come to what's almost happened right here with this issue, the public portion of the meeting. Comments from the public. Anybody from the public want to address the board on anything? Yes, sir.
Steve Young, and here on behalf of the Polaris Development Group, LLC, that does the Kentucky Avenue Festival. We've been in talks with the Black Miss America Pageant, and they're interested in coming here to Atlantic City. I know it's been talk about the Miss America, but there's a Black Miss America Pageant that's not too far distance from here. And we've been having talks of having them come to Atlantic City. And we just hope that the board and CRDA and everybody else will support that as well, because they bring a lot to Atlantic City, and a lot of people from Philadelphia area as well. And they go all around the country doing this, and we've been in talking, I think, me and Matt, we met on this. So we want to put that on the radar, coming probably August for the first, probably the second time, the Miss Black America Pageant actually being in Atlantic City. Thank you.
Other comments? Yes, sir.
I'd like to talk about public safety in the tourism district. Last month in this room, November 20th, I reported a light that was out where I had witnessed 6 accidents. There are currently lights out at Missouri, lights out at Ohio, signals missing. Missouri is the foot of the expressway. I regularly watch near misses. On Ohio, it's the same thing, because that's letting out of the hospital and letting out of the Claridge. So I don't know who fixed it. It was the city trucks that fixed it. And I think one of the problems is the city doesn't have the money for the lights. But be aware, you have problems. Right now, the yellow lights aren't working. And this isn't stuff I discover because I go looking. It's stuff because I'm on Pacific Avenue 10 times a day. I'm going to jump from there. Here, and there's pictures, if you'd care to look at pictures, please. Thank you. I'm going to jump from there to December 3rd, during the Real Estate Commission. I was the guy that brought the Real Estate Commission to town. The states of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York combined into one. I did it. 8,000 people the first week of December. We all need a Christmas present. Last December 3rd, or this December 3rd, right on this corner, a hooker jumped in my car. That happened to 2 other of our attendees that I bumped into at the convention. I posted it to Facebook on December 10th. Where's that? Somewhere I have pictures. No, December 15th. Here's our tourism district. I'm just walking down the street with an investor. This guy's shooting up in the alley. Here's an accident that was caused on this corner by one of the jaywalkers, constantly walking into our streets. Pacific Avenue is our main avenue. This year I've been to 9 metropolitan areas. The only one I looked over my shoulder in was Atlantic City. Something's wrong in that picture. Now I also want to jump onto some ideas for improvement. Joyce, I didn't know you were here. But I see, and Darrell with the Arts Federation. Foundation. These are ugly and faded on West Hall. I've mentioned it before. Why don't we fund the Arts Foundation to take it over and make it beautiful? We've got 40 world-class murals in this town. I went to McDonald's last Wednesday. 3 beggars and 1 madman standing in the parking lot singing in the middle of our tourist district. I went to the hospital the next day to visit Becky Dewar on the way in and on the way out. I was hit up for money. We have to do a better job. That's all within our tourism district. And the last thing, I have a couple of ideas. I don't know if I handed them out. But the main one, we're having rooming house problems. The historical significance of the rooming house in Atlantic City cannot be forgotten because they were important to our survival. Right now, we've loaded them with the kind of trash we're allowing to live in Atlantic City, and we seem to be importing in. However, I would like to see the rooming houses, the current owners, offered money to redo, to rebuild, and to offer youth hostels for your e-games where kids can stay in an Airbnb type atmosphere. I've traveled Europe in youth hostels as a young man. And I just got back from San Diego where there was an electric dance music concert. Thousands and thousands and thousands of young people with money. They all needed a place to stay, and they were looking for youth hostels and Airbnbs. Oh, finally, posted to Facebook. I did not post it. You right now have an office at City Hall. That's the trash outside City Hall.
So Jeff, what do you propose we do about?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Do you approach council with any of these issues? Have you ever been to a council? When's the last council meeting?
I stopped going to council because I don't get answers to everything.
But do you not think that most of these issues are council issues?
Not in our tourism district. You're in charge there.
Okay.
I think the only thing that's a council district.
Matter of opinion.
I think the only thing that's the council issue. I know this, sir. It's not my responsibility to be reporting this or to be aware of it.
I'm not saying it is. I just asked about if you've been to council, because I think the majority of that falls on council. And my frustration is people come here in lieu of going there. And that was my only analogy.
Thank you, sir.
Well, part of the issue, part of following up on what Ed says, we do not have code enforcement.
I'm aware.
That's a city responsibility.
I am aware. I'm not stupid. It's a case of trying to get something done. I don't care who fixes it.
I understand that.
Exactly.
The problem is we can only do certain things under the statute. Part of
Create
it
a new
is
statute. You came out of nowhere to begin with. Do what you have to do.
we are putting 45 more Class 2 officers on this year in an effort to help with this situation.
Thank you.
Let me just comment quickly on some of this. This thing here in front of City Hall, that was a temporary problem. I'm in front of that building every day. The trash does get picked up. There are times where, even in front of the county building, over a weekend or something, you will see something blow in. So I just want to point out that is not the everyday.
I'm relieved to hear that, Howard. I said that wasn't my picture.
Yeah, that's not the everyday
Facebook.
condition of City Hall. I agree with you real quickly on this. This is an example of something that wasn't done right to begin with. This is either a facade in front of West Hall. When it was done under the ACA. It was mentioned at the time. They did it on the cheap. And I remember some of the Arts Commission telling me that you're going to get 3 to 5 years out of this and it's going to become an eyesore. And they were correct on that. And I will agree with you that there is some issue with traffic lights in Atlantic City, and I think it's gone on for too long. I thought originally it was just a temporary condition, but
months.
If you go down to an intersection, there's no traffic light.
it's actually sometimes a stop sign or something else. I think that condition has to be addressed. That's a safety condition. I don't know why it's going on as long as it has.
That does not exist for a long period of time. It takes time to actually get Atlantic Electric to come back out. So
It's been going on for about, I'd say 2-3 months.
Yes.
It's been going on for about that long.
on specific streets, right? For example, we had lamps down on, let's say, South Carolina and Baltic for a moment. They're fixed. The key is that a lot of this stuff is basically predicated on when Atlantic Electric comes back out and put their post back out. The other thing is that when we talk about the rooming house component, there's a responsibility from the CRDA and the City of Atlantic City. We've been having meetings, working together, trying to actually come up with a synchronized plan as to how to address the rooming house issue. The other issue is that you just can't displace people because we want something moved. There's a lot more to go along with how we deal with rooming houses. And I think that I can speak openly saying that this particular body is looking diligently and trying to figure out a resolution to those things.
The final comment I have on the pictures is this issue with missing streetlights is an endemic condition. It seems to be something that occurs on a regular basis. The question is whether the city is still paying for the electric bill for those missing street lamps. So that's something I think should be looked at. Remember years ago?
Yes, we had a big issue about identifying who had control of the lights. We had all inventory taken. Other comments from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Angela Bernhardt from in-game esports, and my partner and I, Anthony, are here today, and we just wanted to say we're looking very forward to the partnership. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Other comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Sean Reardon. I've met some of the people in this room privately and in groups in the past. I wanted to come in here today to address some things with the board. A little quick background on myself to bring everybody up to speed. I'm actually from Florida and started coming here 2 years ago, reinvesting in the city when it was at its lowest point. I had met with different functioning bodies throughout the city, like Liz Tarnick when she was still a part of it, and Dale Finch, and we worked diligently in a neighborhood, Texas Ave, Bellevue Ave, Beach Blocks, which is one of the worst neighborhoods in the city for the last few decades or so, but actually is a complete, is a historic neighborhood, a famed neighborhood, and it's really unique to the landscape of the city. I recognize that being from the South Florida area, I watched a gentrification happen in an area called Wynwood in Miami, which was a very depressed, crime-ridden neighborhood, and it was able to use arts and other things to gentrify itself. Like Jeff has mentioned and a lot of other people mentioned, there are so many problems with the city in different regards and stuff, so it's difficult to just pick one. But I came in here today to speak specifically about a situation that I have going on Texas Ave. I purchased 2 properties there. Now obviously in the tourism district, I had the city's director planner, inspection, I should say, Dale Finch. I had Wally Shields, the previous building official, come with me. The building was beyond repair. I was given permission to tear the property down. We removed illegal additions from it. There was some issues with dealing with permits and trying to get stuff done. However, permits were issued and the building came down. And the truth is, it was a good thing for the city because generally developers come into this city and they see us at our lowest point and see us for the taking. They can purchase properties cheap, they can load them up and chop them up and get the most money on their dollar. And that's just not the image and the vision that I had for this neighborhood when I came in there. This property had 2 alleyways going down the sides. There's a news article where a 13-year-old girl was raped in that alleyway. I saw the opportunity to possibly revamp this property, but then thought to myself, once the granite kitchen's in place, another 13-year-old girl gets raped in the alleyway. And that's just not something that we can have in this city. And while we're trying to take this tourism district, these beach blocks, and gentrify them. I proceeded to finish tearing down this structure that was in a complete state of disrepair, built in 1900. I had a vacant lot. I was told that the lot couldn't just be dirt like the various other CRDA-owned lots in this city that are filled with rubble and trash and weed. and everything else, that I was gonna have to make that lot appealing to the eye. I got my inspection from the city for termites and insects, which you have to do underneath putting asphalt on top of the lot. The lot actually retained a small portion of its building to make a planter bed so that it actually looked nice and appealing from the street. I've received now 3 fines from the CRDA with this vacant lot. I've been told that it's now a parking lot, even though there is no curb cut for a vehicle to enter onto this vacant piece of lot. There are no stripes on this lot. There are no parking bumpers on this lot, yet I'm being fined. And the last month, I just got a $2,000 fine for this. I'm told that I need to get a variance, I need to get a site plan and everything else, yet I'm not trying to operate a commercial lot. I'm trying to just have my vacant lot that I'm $120,000 into a 40 by 50 lot, which according to the auction that you guys had would value my lot at about $30,000. Generally, these sort of improvements to derelict properties in the city happen from public funding. Well, I'm the example of a private guy who really cares about this city. I'd like to say I'm in the honeymoon stage with this city, like everybody's had in their relationships in life, where I'm just in love with it. And I think the CRDA and I share the same vision to making this city a great place all over again. However, when I'm being fined and told that I need to get attorneys and apply for variances and put $4,500 into your escrow account like I've had to do with other properties, that is just not the best way for us to partner together with new developers who have, bright ideas for this place and making it a better city all over again. It's just not really smart. I think we can all come together and have a better way to handle these sort of things. I know that I don't have a lot of money to just keep spending on fines and keep tearing properties down.
I think that this really is an issue that needs to be discussed outside this parameter of a public meeting. And my understanding is there are other facts related to this situation that it's not appropriate for me to go into here. So I would suggest that you have a meeting with Lance, maybe you already have.
Multiple times.
Multiple times?
Multiple times, sir.
Okay.
Well, I'm happy to meet with him again. Happy to sit down and talk through the process.
Is this the case that we had where it was an issue of a hotel license too, and the same gentleman?
There's a lot of different issues, sir. Like you said, it may not be the appropriate place for me to respond here.
No, I think that, look, we don't go around handing out fines for things that we think are inappropriate. Having said that, I think that it's important that you have another meeting with Lance, but if there are things that are not appropriate, then we have to deal with it. And I just want to make it that plain and that simple. And if you want, Paul can sit in on the meeting. I think you probably have, Paul?
On one occasion, yes.
Huh?
On one occasion, yes.
Yeah. So I think that's how we're gonna handle this situation from now. So before you leave, make an appointment with Lance. And
Sure, I came to this forum, sir, just because we've had meetings in the past, and it's nothing against Lance. I just think that, and he had mentioned sometimes that in one of our meetings in the past, that a situation like this may have actually been missed in the legislation that was written for the tourism district and the land use, and specifically, it's just very simple. It's just a vacant lot, and to be told that I operate in other cities as well in this country. I've worked in Texas, I've worked in Florida, in municipalities, and when you, in those cities, if there is an issue, if simple as you didn't cut your grass, you get put in front of a judge and you get your day to say, well, did you cut your grass or not? And the code enforcement officer shows up. That's not how this works, which to me is difficult to understand, but I want to work with you guys, not against you, but I want us to all be together on that. And it's just simple. It's a vacant lot, and we're just having issues understanding why I'm being fined.
I understand what you're saying. I also want you to understand that we don't go around fining people just on whim. And I suggest that you meet with Lance and our lawyer, and I have full confidence that if there's something that's wrong here, they will address it. We're not in the business to, in fact, we've bent over backwards in sensitivity to people in this city in an effort to make things better. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Make the appointment with Lance, and we'll go from there. Other comments from other people in the public?
I just want to reiterate what Sean's talking about. I actually live on Bellevue Avenue and have seen the progress that he's made there. And I know, you're saying that's not the forum for this and everything, but I think the board should know. I mean, I've read the fines and they seem frivolous of what it is for this particular lot. And I just want to reiterate what Sean's saying, that he is doing good for the neighborhood. And me living there and seeing it happen, I've seen the improvements. The streets have been cleaned. He actually pays people to clean the streets because it's not being done by other people. And he's doing a lot of good in our neighborhood. So
I understand.
I appreciate you giving the time for him and to rediscuss that again, Lance.
Thank you.
Happy to meet with him.
Yes, Jim?
Outsider looking in, I know Texas Avenue well. The lot's not an eyesore as it is, it was as it was. It was an eyesore.
Any other comments on any other issues? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment portion of the meeting. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We will be going into executive session. I'm not sure that anything will come out of the session.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there will be.
There will be one item that will come out. Is that on the litigation matter?
Yes, sir. 2 items potentially.
Okay. So if you wish to wait around and hear what it is, you're welcome to do that. But at this time, I'm going to accept the motion to go into executive session.
Moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Order here. We've had the appropriate motion to reopen the public session. We have 2 resolutions to go before the board relating to litigation matters. Counsel, would you please read the resolution?
Yes, sir, right behind you. The first resolution is resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority approving settlement of a matter captioned as JTD Realty Group LLC versus Casino Reinvestment Development Authority, docket number ATL-L-2485-16.
Did you hear from him?
Okay, we've heard the motion. Is there we've heard the resolution. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion among the board? Hearing none. All those in favor of, I'm sorry, any of the public wish to be heard on the resolution? Yes.
May I just ask what it includes?
We'll give you the whole thing
okay.
afterwards, okay?
Okay, great.
I think everybody's tired of discussing it, but we'll give it to you.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Second resolution.
Yes, resolution of the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority extending the management services agreement with B&B Parking, Inc., doing business as Park Place Parking, to provide parking lot management services to authority-owned surface parking lots in the city of Atlantic City for an additional 1-year term ending December 31, 2019.
Motion.
Moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll recuse myself on this.
Mr. Hill has recused himself. Any discussion from the public? We'll give you the resolution and the comment. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will tell you whatever you need to know.